guys, today's video is sponsored by the OneFootball app. If you haven't done it already, head down to the description before this video starts, click the link and download it completely free of charge on iOS or Android. Boys and girls, welcome to episode 37 of the Charlton Athletic Career Mode. In episode 36, last time round, we secured promotion back to the Premier League, and we actually secured the Championship title at the first time of asking. So, just a little disclaimer, this episode actually isn't going to contain any matches, no gameplay. It's going to be more of a sort of reflective episode, just going over all the stats, all the top scorers, identifying where we need to strengthen in the transfer window, the upcoming transfer window, and different things like that. So I hope that you enjoy this. It's probably going to be a bit shorter. As you can see right in front of you, I do have a slightly tweaked version of the Charlton squad that you have and I have come to be used to in this career mode and certainly this season. So, thinking now for the Premier League campaign, I need to start identifying the positions in which we need to make some new signings. Now, Reece Oxford, he's been playing centre-back mostly. He's gone up to a 75 at the moment. He can play CDM, and I've been lacking that sort of tackling midfielder. And yeah, Reece Oxford can definitely do that. I do like him a little bit further forward than centre-back, sort of playing passes into the front line as well. So I think that's a really good position for him going forward. But we may need to strengthen that with another player, another sort of CDM, because Forster-Caskey, like I've said previously, not going to really improve at the age of 26. And Albie Morgan isn't really a tackling midfielder as much as he is a dribbling passing midfielder. So yeah, Oxford fills that void for now. And we've obviously then got Aribo and Fosu at the moment, who are going to be the two players that are the more advanced midfielders. That's how we're going to roll at the moment. Stengs has gone up to an 80, Iheanacho and Lanez as well across the front line. So in terms of making new transfers here, I'm thinking we probably, like I said, need a CDM or a midfielder, sort of an engine room sort of midfielder. And then we also need a centre-back, because Paddy Bauer, 27 years old, 73 rated. I don't mind him in our first Premier League season as a rotation player, you know, but 73 rated at centre-back in the Premier League just ain't going to cut it. So I think our biggest signing is probably going to have to be a centre-back, because behind Bauer we currently have 70 rated Naby Sarr, 69 rated Pearce, and not a whole lot else, to be honest. Obviously Oxford can drop in there, but yeah, that's my thoughts going forward in this Premier League campaign. Other areas, if we have any spare cash that I might want to improve, is right back, because Deke still has pretty much steadied out since he got to 74 rated, and I don't think he's going to improve too much. He will a little bit. He'll get up to like a 75, 76 by the time he's in his prime, but we need someone to compete with him. We do have a free transfer coming in. I think it's El Mohammadi. I think. But he's only 76 rated himself, so we still need to maybe strengthen that area. And then I do want a more experienced goalkeeper, because De Boer in goal, decent. I think he'll be good in the Premier League once we train him a bit more. And De Vecchi, at 24 years old, not good enough as the backup, so I might need to look in that area as well. But that is basically everything I wanted to say in regards to my future transfers. Please leave recommendations and opinions down below. And another thing I want you to comment on as well in the description, or sorry, in the comment section, not the description, is who you think the player of the season was for our Championship campaign. I would argue, I don't want to put words in your mouth, guys, but I would probably say Fosu had a really good season. I would say Lanez, Stengs maybe. But yeah, you know, Aribo, Forster-Caskey, loads of players that played brilliantly well for us throughout the season. So let me know who you think that was down in the comments. So one thing I want to do before we move on to the next season is just go over here to the squad hub, move over to the stats tab, do this by appearances, and just let you guys see a real stat breakdown of all the player with the most appearances, the goals, the most assists, the most clean sheets, everything like that. And we'll go through all of that right now. So Forster-Caskey actually played the most games by 6 this season. He played 56 games, pretty much every Championship game apart from one, and he also played 5 pre-season games as well as cup appearances and stuff. So not hard to see why Forster-Caskey was a really important player for us last season. Fosu was the next most played player with 50 appearances. then I'm just going to go all the way down. If I start going through every single player, we're going to be here all week, but you can see how much each individual player contributed in terms of their game time and their minutes and things like that. So yeah, if you need to pause, please feel free to pause if you're particularly interested in any individual player. I'm going to next do it by goals. So Kelechi Iheanacho, 21 goals in all competitions for us, 3 in the cup, 18 in the league. Tariq Fosu not far behind him. I have a feeling that this boy down here, Ryan Brewster, is going to start scoring more goals. His finishing stat, I wonder if I can see it here. I don't think I can, but it's incredible, basically. Ryan Brewster, can we see his finishing? We should be able to somewhere here. Yes, 88, and it's gone up by 15 this season, if you can see there on the right-hand side. So he is going to be a really good striker. He's still 20 years old, so he is a really big player for us going forward. But yeah, in the season, Fosu, Lanez, Stengs, Hudson-Odoi, Brewster, Aribo, Suzuki, and then a few other players contributing to our goals. So I'll go by assists finally. I don't think I'm going to do clean sheets because it doesn't just do it by goalkeepers and defenders, it does it through the whole team, so it comes down to who appeared the most, and it's a bit weird. So I'll just go by assists. Joe Aribo with 12 assists, you can see how important he is to us. 77 rated, he is ready to prove himself in the Premier League. Fosu was next with 11, then you've got Stengs and Forster-Caskey on 7, and then the rest of these players. Foyt actually doing pretty well there. Morgan as well, not a lot of games that he got, but when he did actually get a couple of goals and assists, which is really good to see. If we play him more, he'll probably get a few more of those. You know, his stats look good, his ratios. So yeah, we'll go all the way down to assists so you can see everybody who contributed, and that is going to be it for our stat breakdown. Now, the last thing I want to do this episode, I think it's going to be the last thing, is just go to the actual championship season and have... Oh no, it's actually not the last thing, because I just remembered I want to show you who got promoted and who got relegated and that kind of thing. But next thing we're going to do is go through the top scorers and top assisters. So Patterson of Cardiff City actually won the golden boot in the championship, whatever it's called in this league. But he was the top scorer for Cardiff, 20 goals in 45 matches. Not a hugely prolific season for anybody in this league, actually. But Iheanacho came very close with 18 goals himself. Did anybody else from Charlton get on the table? They did. It was actually Fosu with 11 and Lanez with 11 goals in this particular competition, who just about charted. Moving on to assists, Aribo actually by a mile got the most assists in the league, 12 assists, and then Tariq Fosu joint second behind him. So we really do have some great midfielders in our club right now that really are ready to prove themselves at Premier League level. Aribo and Fosu with a combined total of 21 assists, so brilliant stuff from them. And then even down here we have Stengs with 7, and we have Forster-Caskey with 6. I don't know if anybody was joined with Forster-Caskey. No, they weren't, because it would say, because then you've got 25 Clark down there with 5 assists. So yeah, that is a nice amount of Charlton players getting a nice amount of assists there. And then clean sheets, we do actually have the 4th most clean sheets. It says 4th, it's actually 2nd because there's 3 joint firsts there. And De Boer actually did pretty well, as much as I kind of half slagged him off this season. Did De Vecchi get any on here? No, he didn't. But yeah, De Boer played pretty well, one of the better goalkeepers in the league. And that is about it. Anybody, yeah, well, Deke still got 8 yellow cards there in the season, so a little bit of an aggression problem for him maybe. I thought he played well in this season, but there we go. Then we've got red cards. Nobody in Charlton, I don't think, on this list. No, definitely not. So we did pretty well in terms of not getting red cards. So that is going to be it for the breakdown of the championship. I am now going to reveal who got relegated, who got promoted with us, and all the stuff that you care about in the relative leagues in England. And by the way, Bournemouth won the FA Cup. There's Eddie Howe and Nathan Ake, and we will go through who won all the competitions in just a second as well. So first of all, a final look at the championship table. Charlton won it by 8 points, which is a remarkable achievement, especially in your first season up from League One. I know we had that whole corrupt file or deleted file issue, and Wolves were running away with the league in the original file, but we still got 97 points on the board. We still won it by 8 points, and it's a really good achievement. Fulham are going to come up with us automatically, and later on in the episode, when I've advanced the calendar a bit, we will find out which of these 4 teams, Huddersfield, Cardiff, Stoke and Norwich, are going to come up actually to the Premier League with us. Rest of the league table, Villa just missing out on playoffs. Blackburn and Leeds, pretty good seasons there as we go all the way down to see who got relegated. And the relegated teams are Rotherham, Wigan and Bolton. Actually 3 teams who start the FIFA 19 basically off in the Championship. So that's interesting to see. Portsmouth and Sunderland and Charlton, the promoted teams from last season, all surviving. So here's the Premier League standings for this season, and actually Spurs won it by 2 points. It was a London title race there, as you can see. Spurs and Chelsea, the top two. Liverpool and Arsenal, the other two teams in the Champions League with those two London clubs. And Manchester United and Manchester City both falling short and actually qualifying probably for the Europa League, I would imagine. Everton and Burnley having pretty good seasons there. Palace and Brighton making up the rest of the top 10. Pretty good seasons and achievements for them as well. I'll go down and show you the rest of this league table. Going down was Derby, Bournemouth, unfortunately. I like Bournemouth. And West Brom. So, yeah, mildly predictable, I would say. And then you've obviously got Middlesbrough, who are probably going to be the only team who don't start FIFA 19 off in the Premier League, who we're going to be facing next season. So, interesting. Ipswich won League One and QPR go up automatically with them. It was actually the 3 Championship relegated clubs from last season who finished in the top 3. Millwall falling short of automatics, but will compete with Oxford, Southend and Scunthorpe in the playoffs. And then down here, relegated are Bury, Fleetwood and Wickham. There's the rest of the table if you really care. We'll just move on to League 2. Who won it? It was Notts County, Oldham finishing second, Forest Green, Blackpool, Cheltenham and Rochdale making up the rest of the playoff contenders. I think that's how it works in League 2. But yeah, let's move on finally to the cup competitions. So as we previously did briefly discuss, Bournemouth did defeat Crystal Palace, it was, in the final of the FA Cup. 5-4 on penalties. That would have been a really good final. In the semis, Burnley, wow, no big 4 teams there. Burnley, Crystal Palace, West Ham and Bournemouth making up the semi-finals. Only Manchester City even in the round 6, which is the quarter-finals. Well, a lot of big teams got knocked out early in this competition, but yeah, the winners were Bournemouth. And Everton won the Carabao Cup with a 2-0 victory over Leicester. Another decent final there. Manchester United and Norwich were the 2 losing semi-finalists. Again, not a lot of big 4 teams. Even in the quarter-finals, literally only Man United in the quarter-finals of that did any good, really. Out of the top 4. So interesting winners. Let's finally move on to the European competitions. Inter Milan actually won the Champions League with a 3-2 victory over Juventus in an all-Italian final. Liverpool and Dortmund just fell short of the final there, and pretty close games really. Manchester City, Real Madrid, Bayern and Leverkusen in the quarterfinals. And wow, Real Betis actually in the round of 16 there. So that was an interesting Champions League campaign. Inter Milan once again winning the trophy in the end. And the Europa League was won by Olympique Lyon with a 2-1 win in the final over Valencia. Wolves actually got to the final of that, and the semi-final, and so did Spurs. The 2 English clubs fell short in the semis, and then it was a Spanish and French final. So maybe Charlton can have a say about that in the next season or 2. Hopefully we can qualify for at least one of those competitions in the next season or 2, and yeah, hopefully we'll get some European glory. That is what I'm aiming for, definitely. I don't know about the first season, we'll see, but the last thing then is going to be the Championship playoffs. I don't know if it's going to have been, it hasn't taken place yet, but it is going to be either Stoke or Huddersfield joining us in the Premier League. We will have to wait until the next episode, because if you are familiar with career mode, we are on the 31st of May. As soon as we skip to the 1st of June, it's going to do the whole buffering thing and loading the squads and all that, and it's going to take ages. So that is where we're going to leave it today, guys. Make sure all of the questions that I asked at the beginning of the episode, you do leave your thoughts down in the comments. And yeah, let's just briefly have a look at the squad again and sort of work out what we want to be doing with ourselves next season. I think we're probably, to be fair, I'll be happy finishing anywhere above 15th next season. Realistically, we want to survive, obviously, but I think we're a bit better than just surviving. I think 15th and above will be a good season for us next season. But let's see what signings we make. Let's see what other teams come up with us. And yeah, next episode, guys, the Premier League campaign for Charlton Athletic kicks off on the Charlton Athletic career mode. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you later, and sweet.